Just to me, yeah, and then I'll hold the mic.
Sure.
So introduce yourself, your name, your title, and I'll start asking questions.
Okay. Hi, my name is Matt Morse, lead campaign designer on StarCraft 2, and we're at BlizzCon 2015.
So Matt, what are you showing here with Legacy of the Void at BlizzCon?
We're here with new co-op missions. It's a new cooperative mode that's been brought to StarCraft 2 for the very first time. This is a mode where you and your friend will play cooperatively, and you will battle the computer on campaign-style missions. Now, this isn't campaign, but what we've done is we brought over some of those more memorable objectives and mechanics from the campaign, and we brought them over to co-op missions. And the real fun part is that you and your friend get to choose a commander from one of our 3 campaigns. Now, each of these commanders has a unique set of units, abilities, and upgrades, and it's not like heroes, so you're not running around with little hero units on the battlefield. This is still StarCraft 2. You're still harvesting, you're still building troops, but each commander has a unique play style. So, if you were to choose Jim Raynor, you're going to be more focused on your infantry units. He's got a lot of perks that make his infantry unit stronger than you would say Swan, who's the other Terran commander. He doesn't even have a barracks, right? So he's building straight from the factory right off the bat. He's got a whole bunch of defensive structures that you don't see in single player or in multiplayer. So there's a lot of exclusive content here with co-op missions.
So the co-op missions, what went into designing those? You wanted to make them obviously different from other missions, different from online, I guess different from single player, or some of the challenges in making that different?
There's a lot of different challenges. I mean, we originally started with the idea of, we had a lot of interaction with the community. A lot of people we'd run into says, I love StarCraft 2, but I'm really scared of multiplayer. Or, I love your campaign. I don't play multiplayer at all, right? So this is where it kind of birthed for co-op missions, because we really wanted to say, how can we have these fans that love our game so much, but still stay around on Battle.net and play with people they maybe never met before, right? So that's where it kind of all started. A lot of the challenges early on was we didn't want co-op missions to feel like 2 players playing on a single player mission. So it's like, okay, you're on the left and you're doing your thing and you're on the right. We really wanted to create a mechanic or an event that happens periodically on the mission that really draws the players together, right? Because it's really important for us to allow people to go and destroy the enemy base, because that's fun to do. But then there's that moment that comes back and says, hey, I need to partner up with my buddy and we need to get together and deal with this threat.
So we're entering the final chapter in the StarCraft 2, the universe for a whole new beginning, as you said earlier, a complete new beginning. So what excites you about players to experience this story and finally see it come to an end?
Well, we're wrapping up 17 years of storytelling here. Back from StarCraft 1 and Brood War, you started learning about characters like Jim Raynor and Kerrigan, and even Artanis was back in the day, right? And as we went through Wings of Liberty, you understand, Jim Raynor's point of view of why he wanted to take down Arcturus Minx. And then we got to Heart of the Swarm, and you saw Kerrigan, she was just full of hatred and vengeance against the same emperor. And there's just that complicated storyline between both those 2 main characters, right? So that's going to come to a conclusion in Legacy of the Void. But more importantly, Artanis is going to take the front step here. He's leading the people out of almost, I wouldn't say darkness, but we're in dire times at this point. What you know of the game so far is that the Dominion world has been torn apart by the Swarm. They've left. Arcturus Minx has fallen. Jim and his buddies are all kind of rebuilding the Dominion at this point. You don't know too much about the Protoss. And so for right now, for the Protoss, it's all about him reuniting the people. He believed at the end of Brood War that both the Ire Protoss and the Nerazim, which are the Dark Templar, can live together. But their cultures are so ingrained differently from each other that he feels that the last step to really unite everybody is to go back and take Ire, the homeworld. He feels that once he goes there, then all the other factions will kind of come back to their homeland. But he finds it's very difficult. It's very difficult to find these various factions out there in the universe, bring them together. But more importantly, deal with Amon's threat. The hybrid machines are out there. The war has been taken front and center. Kerrigan's off missing with her Zerg, right? So there's a lot of big pieces in play with the Legacy of the Void.
In StarCraft 1 and the expansions you've released so far, the Protoss have always been a very private race. So they don't share the technology with people. They don't really ally themselves with people. Raynor is one of the only few people that they actually trust in a way, because they really don't trust anybody. What's it been like exploring that in the campaign with this specific race?
Well, it's actually been a lot of fun from the story point of view, because Artanis does have that relationship with humans. He trusts Raynor, and he trusts what Raynor trusts. And so when we went and did the story, all these other Protoss characters, they don't have that same trust towards the humans, right? And they obviously don't trust the Zerg at all. But they come to realization at some point in this, chapter, that if they don't somehow all get together and work together, that it's all gonna be for nothing, right? Like the battles between the Zerg and the Terran and Protoss mean nothing if they can't stop Amon.
So talk about a little bit of the campaign. How is this campaign? How have you improved the campaign from the past two expansions, from Wings of Liberty and Heart of Swarm, into Legacy of the Void?
Well, each game has been slightly different, right? Our approach to Wings of Liberty was, Jim Raynor's this mercenary. He had a small group of guys. He wasn't a big army guy. He couldn't stand toe-to-toe with the Terran Dominion. They were just, they have more money, they have more battle cruisers, all that. So all those missions were designed with the idea of kind of doing something on a mission strategically and trying to get out there, trying to fight the small battle, almost like a guerrilla warfare. With the Zerg, it was very different. We wanted to capture that Zerg fantasy of invading a planet, right? What would it feel like to be at the front line of a massive frenzy, a bunch of Zerglings coming and taking over? So all those mechanics were built on the idea of just trying to destroy everything on the map. With Protoss, it's different. They're an advanced race, right? They have, advanced technology. They're super strong. So very few of them could take on a lot. And so we developed a lot of these missions with the idea of, them coming in hot on an action. So the mission is moving, and then you as a Protoss player are warping in and trying to deal with this threat. So it's just kind of a different emotional view. And so all the mechanics built around the idea that you don't have a lot of units, but yet you're really strong.
Now you had the really cool prologue missions for the campaign with Zeratul. Now where does Zeratul fit in all this? Is he for Artanis, with Artanis, iffy about Artanis?
No, there's actually a good relationship. Artanis was, or Zeratul was Artanis' mentor for a very long time. So there's a lot of respect between those two characters. Zeratul, from the rest of the Protoss society, they view Zeratul with a kind of a skeptic view. He is a Dark Templar, right? So the Ire Protoss, they kind of look down upon the Nerazim, and Artanis has always been that bridge between the two people, trying to say, hey, Nerazim, don't look at what the Ire people are doing, and the Ire are saying, don't worry about what the Nerazim. So he's kind of in the middle, but Zeratul is definitely a big part of this campaign.
Are there any cool mechanics or features in this new campaign that you can talk about that you've improved or added on from past campaigns?
Yeah, but there's two of them that really jump out at me that we haven't really explored before. The first one is we have a mission that's all built on a moving platform. So we've never had the idea of a base that you would have a UI buttons to control and move, north, south, east, and west, and actually try to move around and find more resources, because there's not a lot of resources on this platform. And so that's been a very interesting mechanic, and I think even internally when we started showing this off, everyone's like, you guys can do that, right? Like, so it's been really cool to see all the stuff moving around. Another one is we have a capture point mechanic. We've tried in the past to come up with something that felt fun, to go and capturing an object, and more importantly trying to hold it there so that the AI doesn't recapture it, right? So we do have a mission that's incorporating a real true capture point mechanic, which is really exciting.